Just make sure we. Make him enforce and so that it's not too. Exactly. That's not the right word. A lot of people keep retired. Yeah. Like, there is French, and then you're not even speaking English. They French. Yeah, I will speak English. Because I'm speaking as a when I do can I speak from here? Because there are 5 of them. Camera is on the so just be quick in changing. Like, yeah. I think when I see him, I'm mistaken. This is the Portugal agreement. Yes. South, they lead. Well, I'm from the south as well. Yeah. Am I accepted? We can get the Italians. Yeah, you're not exactly south.
And these are just separate speeches, not okay. So we sit here, we go back. Okay.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. We have many people in the room and some coming in, and we are sorry, but we had to close registrations because the room can only take so many. My name is Malin Björk. I'm the co-chair of the European Left Alliance for the People and the Planet. And we are a platform, a European political party that was created only a little bit more than a year ago. We're forward-looking left parties that play an important role in our countries and at European level. And we came together to counteract nationalist, conservative, far-right, right-wing forces in Europe and in our countries, and also to counteract the neoliberal agenda. We came together, people, to stand up for workers' rights, for feminism, for anti-racism, to stand up for international solidarity. We're a strong anti-racist force in Europe. We came together to stand up for international law and justice with no double standards. We stand up for Ukraine against Putin's occupation, and we stand up against Israel's occupation of Palestine. No double standards. And we came together not only to talk good, think good, but to do things together and to take action. And that is exactly what we are doing here today. I'm very happy that you're many here, and this is time to take action. I'm going to give the floor now to Manon Aubry. She is member of La France Insoumise, founding member of the European Left Alliance, but also the chair of the left group in the European Parliament. Please, the purple is yours.
Thank you very much, Malin, and thanks to you for being so numerous today, for being so many young faces as well, which shows the level of expectation from our initiative today. Our initiative that we are launching will be to fight and end the genocide in Gaza. Over the last 2 years, Gaza has been devastated. More than 71,000 Palestinians killed, the vast majority of civilians, including at least 20,000 children, and 171,000 people wounded. Over 1.9 million people are displaced. Those people are not just numbers. They are lives, their families, they are an entire people being wiped out by the Israeli government. This is a genocide. And no matter what the European Union is saying or not saying, this genocide is still going on. People are still being killed, both in the Gaza Strip, but also in the West Bank. What we're witnessing today are war crimes and crimes against humanity. Yet, the EU and European Union countries did nothing, despite having many tools to impose sanctions. How come the European Union has taken 19 sets of sanctions for good against Russia and Vladimir Putin, and none against Benjamin Netanyahu? You might remember that Ursula von der Leyen promised to partially suspend the trade agreement with Israel back in September. This EU-Israel Trade Association Agreement is the cornerstone of the relationship between the European Union and Israel. It is since 2000, and as a result, the EU has become the first largest trading partner, supplying more than a third of its imports, while being the destination for nearly 29% of Israeli export. Through this association agreement, the European Union is helping to finance genocide and colonization. Let us be clear. This is not only about passivity. This is not only denial. This is not only failure to act. This is complicity. Yes, the EU is complicit with the genocide that is going on in Palestine at the moment. And for the genocide to end, this European Union's complicity must end. Because despite what the Israeli government is saying, despite what EU governments are saying, colonization accelerates in the West Bank and genocide is still going on in Gaza. While the European institutions pretend everything has come back to normal, we will not turn a blind eye to the still ongoing genocide. It is the role and responsibility of the left of our European party to keep fighting the fight. And our young European Left Alliance, which is only 1 year old, was created precisely to be able to act concretely. It was created precisely for a moment like this, when there is a clear gap between what the European people demand and what the European Union countries are doing. This is why, on behalf of the European Left Alliance, I'm very proud to announce you today there are 9 parties coming from 8 different European countries are launching together a European Citizens Initiative, Justice for Palestine, Stop EU Trade with Criminals. Objective is clear. It is to collect 1 million signatures all across the European Union as fast as possible to legally force the European Union and the European Commission to respond and to act. 2 previous citizens' initiatives have recently been successful on the right to abortion, to ban conversion therapy. This proves that this is a democratic, powerful tool used by citizens to confront power and to confront the European Union. Europe cannot claim to defend human rights with and while trading with those who violate them. Justice for Palestine is not optional. Let's start this campaign and let's collect this 1 million signature as fast as possible, because there's not one single day, not one single month, not one single year that can still be wasted to end the genocide in Palestine. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Manon. MP Manon. My name is Tamam Abu Salama. I'm the campaign Justice for Palestine coordinator, and I'm going to present you the 2 Palestinians speaker here. These 2 Palestinians have always said that nothing has started on the 7th of October. They have always said that the Palestinian cause is not a humanitarian cause. It's about ending the Israeli occupation of Palestine. They have said that the solution to the Israeli occupation of Palestine is not merely millions of euros in humanitarian aid and empty statements of condemnations and concerns. They asked for concrete action, and that's why the European Left Alliance is here providing and taking this action. So I'm first going to present Fadi Quran. He's the campaign coordinator at Avaz. Thank you very much. He's intervening online, so I think we're just waiting for the connection to work out.
Hello, do you hear me? All right. It is an honor to be with all of you here today for this very important launch. And I want to start by thanking the leaders of this campaign, by thanking those who are taking the initiative and those who are beginning to sign on to this initiative, because it is crucial that we continue to struggle in a unified way to weaken the occupation, to weaken the systems that sustain apartheid. And as was mentioned previously, Europe is sadly one of the European Union, countries across Europe are one of the key funders of the continuation of apartheid, colonialism, and genocide happening in Palestine. But before we get into the technical details of this campaign and why it's important to support it, I want to recognize two things, one personal and one broad. The first and personal piece of this campaign for me is that it directly relates to my family and the land that we live on and the land that my grandmother used to own. Now, currently, whether you're in Brussels or any other country in Europe, if you go to most of your large supermarket chains, you will find Israeli products. One of these products is called psagot wine, but there are also other different forms of wines and other products. But psagot wine specifically is being produced on the land that belonged to my grandmother. Land that my grandmother and her grandfather before her and his grandfather before him had planted with grapevines, had planted with other different produce, and it was violently taken by settlers. And these settlers not only destroyed what existed on that land, but then what remained turned into a winery. And they sell these products across Europe, making tens of millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of euros. Now, Europe says that the association agreement or parts of it do not apply to settlement goods. But what consistent research has found is that Israeli companies, including those directly profiting from land stolen from Palestinians, have found ways around some EU regulations and continue to benefit from European preferential trade agreements. And this is not just about these criminal companies trading in these criminal goods. It's about the cost of that. The cost of that is measured in lives lost across Palestine. The cost of that is measured in families who can no longer feed their children because of Israel's occupation policies. And because of the fact that not just the products produced from stolen Palestinian lands, but the resources stolen from Palestinians. In the West Bank, 80% of the water that we have is taken by Israel year on year. And so we end up with barely any water to survive in our communities. And that goes, of course, to sustain Israel's agriculture, which is then sold to Europe for a profit. So our thirst is being used and weaponized to make Israel more money, and the European economy is the most complicit actor on this front. Now, my grandmother, before she passed away, one of her dreams was that she would be able to go back and return to cultivate that land. Unfortunately, she passed away before she can do that. But myself and many Palestinians have the hope and the desire and will continue to struggle until we make that a reality. And campaigns like this help bring us closer towards achieving that dream, a dream of a future of freedom, justice, and dignity, and a dream where those who steal land, those who steal resources, and those who oppress do not get to profit from it. But beyond my personal story alone, there's an even more significant and tragic story unfolding, which is the ongoing genocide in Gaza. Now, just this morning, 10,000 tents were destroyed in a storm because, apart from the fact that almost everybody in Gaza has lost their homes, until today, Israel's not allowing Gazans to bring in sturdier tents or caravans or to rebuild their homes. So people are still suffering and dying from the cold. At least 3 children were reported last night who had succumbed to the cold weather because their families didn't have the resources to keep them warm because Israel's preventing those resources from going into Gaza, violating the so-called ceasefire agreement. So this ongoing genocide right now, it's not going to end, and the genocide has been ongoing in different forms and designs. The politicide of Palestinians has been ongoing for years and years and years. And the only way to truly put an end to it is not through ceasefire agreements, it's through ensuring that those who are committing those crimes cannot profit and begin to pay a price, pay a cost for the crimes that they are committing. And no cost would be larger through this criminal government, and no cost would be larger to apartheid than them losing the ability to trade with Europe, which is their largest trade partner. And if we just think about this for a second, we need to remember that the majority of Europeans do not want to be trading with criminals. Poll after poll across European state after state show that even in countries that historically had a bias towards Israel, like Germany, you now have the majority of society supporting sanctions on Israel, whether arms embargoes, whether banning trade in settlement goods, or ending the association agreement. In fact, in my other hat as a campaigner with Avaz, and through the research we've done, we have found that there are over 1 billion independent accounts worldwide and over 50 to 100 million European accounts specifically across the world and within Europe that are posting consistently in support of Palestine, in support of action for Palestinian dignity. If you compare that to any other issue globally, or any other brand even, Beyonce, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, Paris Saint-Germain, Real Madrid, you can choose any topic. There's no issue, even today, that has moved the moral conscience of humanity and where people want to see action more than Palestine. So getting to 1 million signatures, the people are there. In fact, many more than just 1 million people across Europe want this effort to succeed. So it's on us to make sure that as quickly as possible, we show and send a message to those in power, to everybody in government, that Europe says no to trade with criminals. And the last thing I want to add in this space is that please also keep in mind that this is not just about Palestine. This is not just about ending the genocide in Gaza. This effort is bigger than that. It's an effort that is about setting a moral precedent. Do we want to live in a world where oppressive regimes can profit from the suffering of the most vulnerable people in order to continue to build and expand on their military-industrial complex, in order to continue to sustain systems of racial supremacy of one group over another? I believe those of you in the audience, I believe the vast majority of humanity who felt wounded and heartbroken by watching the genocide unfold in Gaza do not want to live in a world like that. So the success of this effort, the success of this campaign will not just make apartheid unsustainable. It will not just make colonialism unsustainable. It will not just open a path to the liberation of Palestine, but I believe it will set a precedent for the world most of us want to live in. So I'll end with this point for all of you, which is that, do you believe, raise your hand if you believe that within our lifetime we can make that world a reality? That's all we need. That level of hope and consistent effort will make that a reality. And to give you all hope on the ground right now in Palestine, despite efforts to erase us that have happened not just in the last 2 years, as Tamam mentioned, but over decades, despite efforts to make us lose hope, despite efforts to make us give up, we are still here. We are still standing steadfast. We are still committed to creating a future where all people live with freedom and justice and dignity. And with allies like you by our side, with initiatives like those you're leading succeeding, we can make this decade the decade of liberation after over a century of ongoing settler colonialism, over a century of racial supremacy, over a century of bloodshed and war. We can make this decade the decade of our freedom, our liberation, and transform the world once and for all. So thank you all for this opportunity to speak to you today, and I look forward to celebrating very soon the victory of this campaign.
Thank you, Fadi. Fadi was speaking to us from the West Bank, and I second exactly what he said. We're still here. We will always be here until justice, liberation, and dignity and rights. Now I invite Ibrahim Badra. He's based currently in France, but he spent all his life in the Gaza Strip. Welcome, Ibrahim.
Assalamu everyone. I hope you are doing well and having a good day. First of all, I would like to thank you all for attending today and for your support, especially for your support for Palestine and Gaza in particular. And I want to say also, your support is deeply valued for the Palestinians. My name is Brahim Badra. I'm from Gaza, Palestine. I have survived 7 wars and the ongoing genocide. I have had 3 close encounters with death. I cannot even explain how I am still alive, but I'm here with you today. Before the genocide, I was a student, a journalist, a writer, a translator, working and studying at the same time, like anyone of the world does. We, as Palestinians and Gazans, we had routines, we had full lives, and we made future plans with hope. But, unfortunately, all of this have been robbed from us, from this spiritual occupation. Today, I stand before you, and all of us here today, we are safe, but the Palestinians, the Gazans, my people, my family, they are not safe. Literally, every minute, they face treaty bombs, automated drones, and systematically engineered famine. Before the genocide, I aspired for a pretty normal life. But today, my goal is to raise up the Palestinian voice, to spread out the Palestinian story, to share the reality about Palestine, to share the history, the real history about Palestine. Honestly, always, when I have a free talk, it is always hard to know from which topic should I start, because I want to give each topic and each struggle its right. Like, for example, should I start with the 71,000 innocent souls of my people who have been murdered during this genocide? Or should I start with the 20,000 people that are missing under the rubble? Or is it better to begin with the beauty of my city, the beauty of the Gaza Strip, the city of our every breath, our now lost city of rubble? Or should I start with the fake ceasefire? Or should I start with the trending sudden recognition of the Palestinian state? Or should I start with our children who are searching for food daily instead of being in schools, building their future just like any one of the children does on the whole world? Or should I tell you about a mother, a Gazan mother who waited for 15 years to have a child, only to lose him in a second? Or should I begin with how we know the smell of death? We can recognize it easily in a very simple way. Simply, how would you recognize the smell of this? Firstly, you will be surrounded by a gunpowder with a blurry vision, rapid and fast heartbeat, uninterrupted breathing. Or maybe should I tell you, mesdames et messieurs, the story of how my people go out every day to search for food and water and just to return as martyrs? I am pretty sure that the majority of this world don't know anything about the previous aggressions simply because Israel wasn't attacked just like the 7th of October. So I always ask by the people, what do you think about the 7th of October? Could you tell me more about the 7th of October? But what about the 7th of October? Always, because I'm trying to defend about the Palestinian story and to raise up the Palestinian voice. So, however, to be fair and aware, we must ask, what do you think about 1917, 1920, 1947, 1948, 1949, 1956, 1967, 1973, 1982, 1987 to 1993, 2000, 2005, 2008, 2012, 2014, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. Hopefully, I really hope so, it won't be 2026. But who knows for how long? I want to share a very short story with you about my friend. I lost him during the ongoing genocide, and he has an anonymous fate. His name was Saeed. During the second wave of starvation, every Gazan family, during the second wave of starvation, the family members, they were like divided the missions. Some of the family members, they have to search for water, and the other side, they have to search for food. Unfortunately, my friend Saeed, his mission was to search for food. Luckily, he found some grapes leaves near Nusayrat city and Tabet Linwera neighborhood. And while he was picking the grapes leaves, trying to help his family to feed themselves, he got shot by a sniper bullet, an Israeli sniper bullet. And unfortunately, my friend Saeed murdered, and his body was thrown on the streets for days. And each time we were trying to go and close to get his body back to bury him, each time we have tried to go and get his body back, the Israeli soldiers, they were shooting on us randomly. First day, second day, third day. After that, we went there for 3 days. His body was thrown on the streets. Last one, we just go there, and his body just disappeared. And no one knows anything about his body till now. He just had an anonymous fate, just disappeared. So his family lost Saeed, lost the food. Just a sniper bullet took his life and took the food and took the hope of his family as well. After more than 2 years of 100% clear and visible genocide, media outlets and governments continue issuing false statements without taking any serious action. And they continue to turn a blind eye to one of the worst humanitarian crises of the 21st century. And they used to describe the current virtual situation as the war between Gaza and Israel, the ceasefire between Gaza and Israel. But is it a war between Gaza and Israel, or a war from Israel on Gaza? Okay, if we have any child here, any kid, he is going to guess the right answer. I'm going to make to do a very simple comparison. We have Israel. They have a nuclear bomb. They have an army. They have a military support. They have a financial support from the other countries. They have a financial military support from the whole world. And we all know that very clear. Either above the table or under the table, they have the support. On the other hand, the largest thing that I could say about Gaza, the space of Gaza Strip is 365 square kilometers. This is only what I can say. But we don't have army, we don't have a nuclear bomb, we don't have a military support, we don't have a financial military support. We literally, there is no one got our back in this world. So simply, what do you think? Is it a war between Gaza and Israel, or a war from Israel on Gaza? I think you can guess the right answer in your mind. In this world, human lives are still not granted equally dignity. The media refers as, especially the medias, the international one, they refer as an Israeli civilian killed amid an attack. They used clearly an active tense. But for the Palestinians, they used to say, a Palestinian died amid clashes. Wow. We can see clearly the passive tense as if the more than of the 71,000 of innocent souls just erased by an invisible force, as if that force doesn't have a name, a military, and a powerful international allies. The main problem is that we live in undemocratic times. In the global south, dictatorship, literally, it is just declared. And you can see it very easily. But in the global north, dictatorship is covered, addressed by the myth of democracy. Let me provide that simply. The so-called leaders of democracy continuously ignore and suppress the voices of their own people who have been protesting for years now. Governments continue to wage senseless wars regardless. Despite all of that, I still strongly believe that humanity should lead this world. It has been 828 days, and we don't have plans, we don't have armies, but we have names, we have dreams, we have a future plan, we have passion in life. And now, the fake ceasefire in Gaza, what kind of ceasefire is? Like a raped dog. The occupation strikes and bombs the whole strip since October 11th. And there are 442 murders and 1,204 injuries in the past 24 hours. Alone, there are 7 new murders. My people have become fragments, buried under roofs, starving in the streets, burned by bombs, drowned by winter, frozen by cold. As if death made my city as if it's beloved. But my people deserve to be happy, to live in peace, build a future, to dream, to think freely, to wake up with a sense of a normal life, to visit each other outside the tragic funeral visits. In the end, my dear Palestine, we all know that the occupation doesn't live forever. And history can prove this pretty well. So maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not this month, maybe not the next month, maybe not this year, maybe not the next year, maybe not even this decade, but in a day, Palestine will be free. I urge you to collect these million signatures. I know it will not stop the genocide, but at least it may help to preserve my people's lives. And it might be just the beginning of a free Palestine. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ibrahim Badra. Now, I have the pleasure to introduce the leaderships of the different European Left Alliance parties that are here. I traveled to Brussels for this moment to take action and to outline what is happening in their countries and how we are going to stop this genocide. So I will invite all the leaderships up here. The first panel, the first set of leadership is Nicola Frattoiano, the party leader of Sinistra Italiana, a member of our alliance. We have Irene Montero, please. We have Irene Montero, MEP and party leadership of Podemos from Spain. We have Mariana Mortágua, former party leader from Bloco Esquerda, Portugal. And we have Rima Hassan, member of European Parliament from La France Insoumise. Please, first up. Nicola, the podium is yours. And Italian headphones, if you don't understand.
Grazie innanzitutto a tutte e a tutti voi, grazie Adela per questa iniziativa. Oggi noi siamo qui perché non si spengano le luci. Noi siamo qui tutte e tutti insieme perché non cali il silenzio. Quando il 9 di ottobre è stata firmata la tregua a Gaza, abbiamo sperato nel nostro cuore che quella tregua potesse rappresentare la fine del genocidio in corso. Ma avevamo avvertito fin da subito che tregua non significa pace, che per la pace sarebbe stato necessario porre fine all'occupazione criminale della Palestina, che per la pace sarebbe stato necessario garantire il protagonismo del popolo palestinese, riconoscere lo Stato palestinese, che per la pace sarebbe stata necessaria la giustizia per il popolo palestinese. Oggi ci raccontano che è tutto a posto, ma noi sappiamo che il genocidio è ancora in corso, che continua in Cisgiordania la pulizia etnica, che continua l'apartheid, che continuano le distruzioni delle case, delle terre, dei villaggi, delle culture. Noi sappiamo che in Palestina c'è tutto tranne che la pace. E allora siamo qui per dire che dobbiamo accendere la luce, tenere alta l'attenzione, offrire uno strumento con la società, per la società, con i cittadini, con le cittadine europee, per dare forza, continuità ai grandi movimenti che a partire dal mio paese, dall'Italia, dove enormi manifestazioni hanno sfilato per le strade contro il genocidio, possa continuare a battersi per la giustizia. Noi oggi siamo qui però anche contro l'ipocrisia di chi, come la Presidente del Consiglio dei Ministri italiana Giorgia Meloni, dice tutti i giorni che ci vogliono 2 stati per 2 popoli e poi, come accade in troppi paesi europei, non riconosce uno dei 2 stati e continuiamo a chiedere che tutti i paesi europei, che tutti i paesi del mondo riconoscano lo Stato palestinese. Noi siamo qui contro l'ipocrisia di chi, come la Commissione europea e molti paesi europei, continua a commerciare con Israele, con uno Stato genocida, alimentando l'economia del genocidio. L'accordo di associazione tra la UE e Israele all'articolo 2 prevede che in presenza di una violazione dei diritti umani quell'accordo debba essere sospeso. Beh, direi che siamo molto oltre la violazione dei diritti umani. Siamo di fronte ai crimini di guerra, ai crimini contro l'umanità, appunto a un genocidio. È l'ora di dire che quell'accordo va sospeso integralmente, perché dire che siamo contro l'ipocrisia significa anche ricordare che l'ipocrisia si trasforma in complicità. Se si è ipocriti, se si pratica il doppio standard, si diventa complici del genocidio, dei crimini contro l'umanità, dei crimini di guerra di cui è responsabile il governo Netanyahu. E infine, ho terminato, noi siamo qui per la giustizia, per il diritto, per i diritti di tutti e di tutte noi, non solo del popolo palestinese. Perché a Gaza, in Cisgiordania e in Palestina ogni giorno, con i corpi dei palestinesi uccisi, muore anche il diritto internazionale. Il mondo che abbiamo davanti è un mondo nel quale ogni giorno, lo abbiamo visto con l'attacco di Trump in Venezuela, muore il diritto internazionale. E se salta il diritto internazionale, se non c'è più diritto, se non ci sono più regole, c'è solo la legge del più forte, la legge della violenza, la legge delle armi. E se l'unica legge è quella del più forte, a pagare il prezzo sono sempre i più deboli, i popoli, i disarmati, gli indifesi, i precari, le donne, i deboli. Per questo la campagna che lanciamo oggi è uno strumento importante su cui dobbiamo mettere tutta la nostra forza, insieme per la giustizia, per il diritto dei palestinesi e di tutti e di tutte noi.
Good afternoon, everyone. Buenas tardes a todos, a todas, a todes. Tras 3 años de genocidio, lo han dicho quienes me precedían en el uso de la palabra, Europa sigue colaborando con los genocidas. Y sin el apoyo de la Unión Europea, el genocidio no podría continuar, pero el genocidio continúa. Lo que se firmó en Egipto no fue un acuerdo de paz, fue un plan de negocio y colonización que ha convertido a Estados Unidos y a Israel en dueños de más de la mitad de la franja de Gaza con el apoyo de todos los gobiernos europeos. Desde entonces Israel ha asesinado a más de 400 palestinos y palestinas, sigue sin entrar la ayuda humanitaria y los palestinos viven una realidad terrorífica de masacre, hambre, desplazamientos forzosos, inundaciones o muertes de niños por frío. Lo de Egipto fue un show cuyo resultado no es el fin del genocidio, sino el avance del plan de exterminio del pueblo palestino y de la colonización de Gaza y Cisjordania por parte de Estados Unidos e Israel. Y también fue un show destinado a frenar la masiva movilización social, especialmente en Europa, que estaba obligando a los gobiernos y a las instituciones europeas a tomar medidas que no querían tomar. Un buen ejemplo de ello es España, donde las medidas que se han anunciado por parte del Gobierno del Partido Socialista no han tenido por objetivo frenar el genocidio, sino ocultar su complicidad con los genocidas para no ser castigados electoralmente. En España, la movilización social contra el genocidio ha sido masiva y, obligado por este clamor popular, el Gobierno anunció un embargo de armas que ha resultado ser falso. Por los puertos españoles han seguido pasando barcos con material militar destinado a Israel. Y el día antes de Nochebuena, aprovechando que la gente estaba disfrutando con sus familias, el Gobierno pisoteó el embarco autorizando una nueva compra de armas al Estado terrorista de Israel. Aún así, hay una gran lección que los pueblos de Europa hemos recordado, que movilizarse sirve. Que si Europa hace algo será porque la gente se moviliza masivamente y por eso, junto a diferentes organizaciones de la solidaridad con Palestina, lanzamos esta iniciativa ciudadana europea para exigir que Europa deje de comerciar con genocidas rompiendo el acuerdo comercial con Israel, para exigir la ruptura total de las relaciones, también militares y diplomáticas, y un embargo total de armas. Yo no sé por qué existe un solo representante de un Estado terrorista en suelo europeo todavía, y también para hacer todo lo que esté en nuestra mano para que acabe no solo el genocidio, sino también la ocupación ilegal de Palestina. Y les pido que piensen esto. Hoy Europa ha anunciado sanciones contra Irán por los derechos humanos. La misma Europa que en 3 años de genocidio no ha puesto ni una sola sanción, ni una, contra Israel. Al contrario, les seguimos apoyando. La misma Europa que se arrodilla ante Trump, un delincuente que bombardea ilegalmente los países que le da la gana, que amenaza con invadir Colombia, Cuba, México, Groenlandia, que ha secuestrado al presidente de Venezuela para quedarse con el petróleo. A Estados Unidos ni una sola sanción por sus crímenes. Al contrario, con nuestra pertenencia a la OTAN, somos parte de la fuerza militar que permite a Trump aterrorizar al mundo. Es la misma Europa que apoya regímenes autoritarios y dictaduras como Marruecos o Arabia Saudí, a quienes tampoco imponen sanciones. La misma Europa que da la mano a un terrorista yihadista que es el presidente de Siria. Con esos fundamentalistas no les preocupan los derechos de las mujeres ni las vulneraciones de derechos humanos de esas dictaduras. Hace mucho que terminó el tiempo en que Europa puede ir por el mundo dando lecciones de derechos humanos. Esta hipocresía no solo hace que Europa no tenga ya credibilidad y que nadie nos tome en serio, es también una hipocresía criminal, porque lo que está haciendo Europa es preparar el terreno para justificar una nueva guerra ilegal por petróleo a las órdenes de Donald Trump en Irán. Y fíjense que la mayoría de los que hoy se llenan la boca hablando de las mujeres y de los derechos de las mujeres en Irán son los mismos que a las mujeres europeas nos llaman locas, feminazis, charos, que dicen que nos inventamos las agresiones sexuales, que cuando denunciamos buscamos fama o dinero y que hablan de denuncias falsas o dicen que la violencia no tiene género. Dejad de usar a las mujeres para justificar los crímenes de Trump, para justificar vuestro odio, para justificar vuestro machismo, para justificar vuestro racismo, para justificar vuestra violencia. Lo primero para defender los derechos de las mujeres en el mundo es impedir que bombardeen nuestros países. Y hay que decirlo claro, el apoyo de las élites europeas al genocidio en Palestina es, además de un problema ético, la principal brecha de seguridad de Europa, porque apoyando el genocidio y los crímenes de Estados Unidos e Israel, estamos aceptando que cuando quieran también vayan a por nosotras y que la fuerza bruta vale más que los derechos de las personas y que la soberanía de los pueblos. Nadie va a estar a salvo hasta que todas estemos a salvo de los criminales más poderosos del mundo, los terroristas de Estados Unidos e Israel. Y este es el momento de aislar internacionalmente a Trump Trump y a Israel, no de mantener nuestra alianza cómplice con ellos. Si no es ahora, ¿cuándo? ¿A qué más tenemos que esperar? ¿Qué más tiene que pasar? Cuando las siguientes generaciones nos pregunten qué hicimos ante el peor genocidio en un siglo, ante el avance del fascismo y del terrorismo de Estado, ante la complicidad de las élites europeas con los grandes crímenes del siglo XXI, nosotras diremos que no se hizo en nuestro nombre y no se hizo con nuestro silencio. Y le pedimos a los pueblos de Europa que con su firma en esta iniciativa actúen contra el genocidio. Es nuestra obligación romper de nuevo el silencio mediático y hacer que sea el final, que Palestina sea libre del río al mar, que sea libre de genocidio y de ocupación ilegal y que los genocidas paguen por lo que han hecho. Vamos a por el 1.000.000 de firmas. Sí se puede y viva Palestina libre.
Hello, I'm coming from Portugal, and I would like to give you a brief overview of what's going on in Portugal regarding the Palestinian struggle and the main positions of our now right-wing government. As you probably know, or you don't know, but I will tell you now, Portugal has a historic alliance with the United States, and by proxy, with Israel and with NATO. The historic alliance with the US includes a military base of the US in Portuguese soil in Azores, one of our islands. And over the years, Portugal has been subservient to Israel, to the US, and this happens regardless of any government of any political color, either from the Socialist Party or from the right wing. In the past years, these alliances between Portugal and the US, Portugal and Israel, became stronger and stronger and more powerful. And with the current right-wing government, Israel is gaining strategic influence over the government and specific ministers, namely the Minister of Defense, which is a radical supporter of Netanyahu and the current government of Israel, but also in the media, in the business establishment. We now have, in the day that the Portuguese state recognized the state of Palestine, the person that was on TV commenting this action was the ambassador of Israel, not the ambassador of Palestine. This is how deep the power of Israel in our social media, in our power structures, in our government. And these circumstances, historic and current, have dictated the official positions of our government. Its reluctancy to recognize the state of Palestine, which they end up doing after a big struggle. Its reluctancy to condemn the genocide or to approve sanctions on Israel. And also its willingness or its unwillingness to guarantee that Portugal will not be used as a base to transport military weaponry to Israel. And this has happened. We had fighting jets, F-35, coming from the US to Israel, stopping in our naval base in Azores without even communicating this to the Portuguese government. That's how much the US thinks they can do whatever they want. So we were actually being used as a stop, a technical stop, to export jets that will kill Palestinian people by Israel. And the Portuguese flag was actually spotted in 2 different ships that were carrying guns and material to Israel. And all of these actions took place not only by a right-wing government that is been supporting the partnership with Israel, but under the eyes of the European Union. The same European institutions that use their power to impose austerity to the people of the EU, that use their power to teach the world about human rights. The European Union received the Nobel Prize, if that even means anything, I don't think it does, for peace and human rights a few years ago. And this same European Union is doing nothing in face of illegal occupation, war crimes, and genocide. For the past years, everything that was done for human rights, for international law, was done by the people of the world and was done by Palestinian people that teach us every day a lesson of resistance, of strength, and they are the ones fighting for humanity. People of the world, the superpower today, the people of the world that come together in social movements, that take the streets in countries of Europe, regardless of the violent actions of police and states in these countries, we have understood that if we allow people to die as if they were not part of the humanity, we are the ones that lose our humanity. If we allow people to die, if we allow colonizations, if we allow war crimes to go on with impunity, we are the ones that are not safe. And this is not a world where we want to live in. So Israel has declared a war on humanity. It's our duty to stop Israel and to defend the humanity, and we are doing so also by this action, collecting 1 million signatures. Free Palestine!
Bonjour à toutes et à tous, merci de votre présence. Si nous sommes aujourd'hui réunis autour de cette initiative visant à suspendre l'accord d'association UE-Israël, c'est parce que les faits, les chiffres, les responsabilités économiques mais aussi politiques dans le génocide et la colonisation des territoires palestiniens occupés sont établis, documentés et qu'il est aujourd'hui impossible de les ignorer. Les relations entre la France et Israël sont des relations commerciales, économiques, universitaires, industrielles, profondément ancrées. La France est le 10e fournisseur et le 10e client d'Israël. Les échanges entre les deux pays atteignent plus de 3 milliards d'euros en 2024. La France n'est donc pas un acteur marginal ou distant, elle est un partenaire économique privilégié de l'État israélien. Ces liens prennent une dimension particulièrement grave lorsqu'on examine le commerce de l'armement. Officiellement, les exportations d'armes françaises, d'armement vers Israël, s'élèvent à 16,1 millions d'euros en 2024, en hausse par rapport à 2023. Contrairement aux affirmations, aux nombreuses affirmations du ministère des Armées françaises, la France livre un flux ininterrompu d'armes à Israël. Selon un rapport d'une dizaine d'ONG, dont Progressive International, la France a livré plus de 15 millions d'articles dans la catégorie bombes, grenades, torpilles, mines, missiles et autres munitions de guerre et environ 2000 articles dans la catégorie pièces et accessoires de lance-roquettes, grenades, lance-flammes, artillerie, fusils militaires et fusils de chasse. Des exportations qui n'ont donc rien à voir avec les simples composants destinés à un système défensif qui représenterait le commerce d'armement avec Israël selon les autorités françaises. Cette responsabilité n'est pas abstraite. Elle s'incarne dans des entreprises françaises bien identifiées. La société française Eurolynx est accusée de fournir des composants de munitions à l'armée israélienne qui seraient utilisés dans des opérations militaires à Gaza. Elle est ainsi visée par une plainte pour complicité de crimes de génocide, crimes de guerre, crimes contre l'humanité dans le contexte du génocide à Gaza. À cette responsabilité économique et militaire s'ajoute également une absence criante d'action des autorités compétentes françaises, dans le domaine académique notamment, qui est également couvert par l'accord d'association UE-Israël. Alors qu'en Espagne, dès le 9 mai 2024, la conférence des recteurs d'université a appelé au boycott des relations académiques avec Israël et qu'en juin 2025, le Trinity College de Dublin et l'Université de Genève ont pris des décisions similaires, aucun directeur d'école ou président d'université française ne s'est exprimé publiquement sur le réexamen des accords passés avec des institutions impliquées dans la recherche militaire de l'État hébreu. Pourtant, au regard du droit international, il est non seulement nécessaire, mais également obligatoire de boycotter et d'isoler des universités israéliennes comme l'université de Richman. Ces universités entretiennent des liens avec l'armée israélienne et des entreprises d'armement, dont certaines sont nées sur les campus israéliens. Et certaines de ces universités proposent même des bourses, des fonds de soutien et des aménagements pour les étudiants soldats participant au génocide à Gaza.
À Sciences Po, malgré l'obtention par le comité Palestine d'un comité d'examen du partenariat avec l'université de Reichmann, le conseil d'administration a voté pour le maintien des partenariats avec l'université de Reichmann et le ministère de l'enseignement supérieur français a même estimé que ce n'était pas à Sciences Po ou à l'université de décider de la politique étrangère de la France. Face à cette complicité institutionnelle, la Palestine a cristallisé un divorce profond entre les peuples et les gouvernements européens, y compris en France. Les Françaises et les Français se sont massivement soulevés pour mettre un terme au partenariat franco-israélien, complices du génocide à Gaza, de l'occupation et du régime d'apartheid dans les territoires occupés. Cela s'est traduit par la mobilisation des dockers français pour empêcher les livraisons d'armes par des mouvements massifs de boycott et par des victoires très concrètes. AXA a vendu par exemple tous ses investissements dans les grandes banques israéliennes en août 2024. Veolia a vendu ses parts dans des entreprises israéliennes visées par la campagne de boycott et une mobilisation populaire a poussé la France à interdire l'exposition de 5 entreprises israéliennes au salon de l'aéronautique du Bourget. Alors que ces mobilisations venaient combler l'absence d'action du gouvernement français, elles se sont faites au péril de nos libertés fondamentales. Des dizaines de procédures bâillons visent chaque mois des citoyens français exprimant leur solidarité avec la Palestine. Des associations sont également visées par des procédures de dissolution. Cette répression s'inscrit dans une dynamique européenne globale largement documentée et dénoncée. Face à l'inaction des autorités françaises, l'Association des juristes français pour le respect du droit international a saisi le tribunal administratif de Paris, accusant l'État français de ne pas avoir mis en œuvre les moyens disponibles pour prévenir un génocide à Gaza, en violation de la Convention de 1948 sur la prévention et la répression du génocide. Aujourd'hui, une occasion très concrète est donnée aux citoyens de peser face à la complicité de nos dirigeants européens avec le génocide à Gaza. C'est par la suspension de l'accord d'association UE-Israël que l'on pourra contraindre les États membres à respecter leurs obligations en matière de droit international. Il est déjà trop tard pour les centaines de milliers de victimes palestiniennes que personne ici n'oubliera. Mais il est encore temps d'agir pour stopper cet État qui projette encore de défaire la Palestine des Palestiniens à Gaza comme en Cisjordanie. Et pour cela, nous ne pourrons compter que sur la force des mobilisations des peuples. Chaque voix compte pour que justice soit rendue à la Palestine. Merci.
Many thanks to all the previous speakers and to the MEPs. Now I have the honor to present another set of speakers. Please welcome with me Maciej Konieczny, from MEP from Razem, Tony Haddo, MEP from Vänster Party, Trine Perto Mac, MEP from Enhedslisten, Veronica Honkasalu, MEP from Vasmestolotti, almost there. Igor Zolaika, member of the Basque Parliament, EH Beldo. Thank you.
I guess it's me then. Israel has committed genocide in Gaza. Tens of thousands of civilians were killed, many more left starving and homeless. If this is not enough to break privileged ties between the European Union and Israel, then what is? Even after ceasefire, hundreds more were killed in Gaza, and we all know that the violence, ethnic cleansing of Palestinian people, unlawful imprisonment and torture haven't started 2 years ago. It's been going on for decades. That's why, as Razem, we've adopted BDS strategy and advocated for boycott and sanctions on Israel for years. And yet, the world failed to respond. Europe failed to react. The genocide in Gaza was the expected outcome of that failure. And still, as European Union, we choose to treat Israel as another nice, democratic European country. Israeli clubs play in European Cups, Israeli artists perform on Eurovision, and European Union has ongoing association agreement with Israel. It has to stop. We cannot allow business as usual with Israel to continue. If we do so, then as European Union, we are complicit in current and future crimes of Israel. That's why we started European Citizen Initiative to fully suspend EU-Israel Association Agreement. The best time for this was years ago. The second best is now. Let's do it together. In Poland, we are often asked, why do you care so much about Palestine when you have direct threat from Russia just outside your door? And on the other hand, Palestinian people and people from all over the world, when we speak with them, we hear how it is that Western countries, that the US, the European Union could sanction Russia, could break ties with Russia, could exclude Russia from international institutions, and nothing like that is going on when Israel is committing genocide in the eyes of the world. Our answer is, we can do both. We can stand in solidarity with Palestinians and Ukrainians. We can care deeply about Poland's security and act on Palestine. These things go hand in hand. If we want the world to listen to us when we talk about Russian imperialistic threat, about Russian aggression on Ukraine, about Russian crimes, we simply cannot afford double standards. Failing to act on Israel is obvious and widely noticed example of Western double standards. We need justice for Palestine. We need justice for Palestine if we want justice for the world. We need to stand in solidarity with Palestinian people if we dream about the world based on solidarity, not just the brute force. So let's get to work. We have million signatures to collect. Thank you.
All right, I'm here to giving you the Swedish context, and we have a very nationalistic right-wing government supported by the far rights in Sweden. And I will also say some words about the pressure we've been made against our government as a left party and as a movement in Sweden. So, we have a government that from the beginning, as many other European governments, been giving Israel green light during this genocide. Still, my government, as many other countries, is hiding behind the EU and its complicity to genocide. And in the public, still talking about Israel's right to self-defense. I mean, if you know Palestinian history and know how Israel violently been increasing and deepening the occupation for every year, you know it is not about who shot first and who shot second. It's not a war and it's not self-defense. It's a genocide, period. And letting it happen is complicity. Still letting the occupation increasing is complicity. Not doing anything to stop it, and in the same time supporting Israel, that is complicity, and we can't accept that. So why is it so important for us as a Swedish left party to work within this frame? It's because we have a government in Sweden that during a genocide, by any means supporting Israel and has never condemned a war crime. Not even when Israel is dropping bombs over civilians and hospitals or refugee camps. Not even when their own minister says that they are going to do to the Palestinian people. And when the world actually live streaming genocide on their phones on everyday basis, they can't even condemn those war crimes. So, when Israel were on their highest peak on bombing Gaza, our government voted against ceasefire and still have weapon trades with Israel and a strong diplomatic and economical relations. I mean, our government was the first to cut ties with the UNRWA and stop the aid during the mass starvation man-made by Netanyahu. This is the highest form of complicity. So for us, it's important to work together as a European left to put all pressure that we can on Israel and to stop the ongoing genocide and occupation. And we have to continue to put pressure on the EU to stop trading with criminals. We need to put an end to occupation. There is no peace without justice, and just peace comes with the end of the Israeli occupation and with a free Palestine. And we have to also to reach that there must be full embargoes and sanction against Israel. We will continue to take actions in our national parliament and within the EU. And I want to be clear, there is no double standards when it comes to international law and justice. We can't accept that or have that in international law. We will always stand together and in partnerships with social movements. This campaign we are launching belongs to all of us and all those who stand up for Palestine. Now, the EU is complicit to genocide, and we can't have that. This is a collective actions to reach an end to the occupation for free Palestine. And we know the works won't stop here. We will go to our member states after this and to the parliaments to continue work for a free Palestine and step up to get those work for get 1 million signatures. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'm also going to do it in English. I'm Trine, member of the Danish Parliament for the Red Green Alliance. I'll just give you a bit of a taste of what is happening in Denmark. It's very similar to our friends and colleagues here. So having a government that is completely on the green light track with Israel, saying if we want to do something bilaterally from Danish side, no, let's not do it here, let's do it through the European Union. Yet coming to the European Union, looking at the green light track once again, being willing to step up to ask the European Union to do what is right and just. We have, even if it's not always easy to see, we have a social democratic-led government. Sorry, that was an internal one. But I guess you know the feeling, right? You really, when you have a microphone, you really have a chance to say this. So what I want to tell you is that in Denmark, the public awareness for the justice for Palestine is increasing. People are going to the streets, if not every week, then every second week or every fourth week. They're having local manifestations. There are petitions from lawyers, artists, actors, healthcare workers, social workers, musicians, all sorts of groups in our society are having petitions asking the government to do what is right, to fight for the Palestinian freedom. Yet in the parliament, my party and a few others belong to a very tiny minority that has been claiming to be the voice of Palestinians, of justice, and of our co-citizens fighting for the government to actually act. So bear in mind, the Danish Prime Minister during COVID traveled to Israel when Benjamin Netanyahu was in his national election campaign, wanting to establish a collaboration with that very same Netanyahu that is now under search for crimes against humanity. So this is the game we're playing in the Danish context. We have been posing more than 120 questions, petitions, resolutions, questioning times with the Danish government without any solution. In the beginning, they didn't even want to vote for a ceasefire. Can you imagine? And when I say beginning, it's not the beginning, it's the beginning after 7th of October. They didn't even want to vote for a ceasefire. When we raised the issue of boycott, of sanctions, of ending bilateral agreements and trade with Israel, we are accused of support of terrorism, support of anti-Semitism. We are asked, why do you want to cut ties with the only democracy in the Middle East, forgetting that you cannot be a democracy when you're an apartheid regime. So this is all the things, and I know this is happening in all European countries, and this is why this campaign is so extremely important, because we have to come together. We are not alone in our countries. We're not alone in Europe, we're not alone in the world. People have the power to make a change on this, and we have to take that power now. Because nobody will be free before everyone is free. And you know what? In my country right now, we, for good reasons, discuss Greenland and the right to self-determination. We're fighting with Trump and that regime. And this is really give the Palestinians and the Greenlanders the applause, because they are really the ones showing their resistance. So, like colleagues here have been saying, this is part of the very same fight. This is the fight of our time. The fight for an international order based on international law, justice, rules and regulations, where no power is too big to be bound by it, and no powers are too small to exert the right of self-determination. This is the fight we're in. This is the time we're in, and it's a time to act. And I'm so proud that we're part of that European collaboration and movement where we actually fight for the justice for Palestinians, because justice for Palestinians is justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. It's an honor to be here. I'm a second-term MP of the Finnish Left Alliance in Finland and the chair of the Finnish-Palestine Friendship Group in the parliament since last 7 years. And something shows about my work in the parliament that I have not met any other ambassador as many times as the Palestinian ambassador in Finland during these last 7 years. So what has the Finnish right-wing government done for Palestine during the last 3 years? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Zero. The Finnish parliament had its first discussion on Palestine and Gaza in June last year. Before that, no discussions at all. That already tells a lot. As you know, the government of Finland consists of the right-wing National Coalition Party, the far-right Finns Party, the Christian Democrats and the Swedish Party. Especially the far-right and the Christian Democrats are taking care of that Finland does not act according to international law and human rights concerning Palestine. This was seen clearly when the President of Finland gave a statement that he would be ready to recognize Palestine. The right-wing government said it's not accurate. It's not beneficial for Palestine that Finland will recognize it. This was the argument used. For the Prime Minister Party, the most important thing is to carry out severe austerity politics that benefits its supporters. So, on the other hand, the Finnish president and our foreign ministers say in all speeches that the foundation of Finnish foreign politics is to defend international law and rule-based order. That this is really beneficial for a small country with a 1,300-kilometer border with Russia. But concretely, you can't see that anywhere. And what Finland does is that it promotes double standards in human rights and international law. Finland has not been actively supporting freezing the association agreement between EU and Israel, and actually in summer 2024, Finland worked even against this aim. The arms trade continues as always, and the military cooperation is even deepening, consisting of, for example, education, research, military development cooperation. The Finnish Left Alliance is the only party in the Finnish parliament that has actively been working for Palestinian solidarity for decades. The attitude towards arms trade with Israel clearly reveals that there are differences between the parties in the parliament. The Left Alliance was the only party which was against the massive arms trade deal with Israel in 2023, when Finland decided to purchase the air defense system Iron Dome. Since October 2023, other parties such as the Social Democrats and the Greens have been more active in their critique towards the Finnish government. But since the so-called peace agreement, the critique has been more vague. What differs the Left Alliance in Finland from other parties is therefore a systematic critique of the apartheid regime of Israel and of the ever-deepening occupation. What also differs the Left Alliance of Finland from other parties is that we cooperate actively with the civil society. I would say that our understanding of the deep oppression of Palestinians is an issue that we want to learn from more, and this includes also the aim to always deepening our understanding of the anti-racist struggle. Of course, on parliamentary level, the biggest achievements are ensured through cooperation with other parties, but sometimes this is really extremely difficult, even among the opposition parties. When I, for example, collected signatures for a bill which would have banned importing goods from occupied territories in the parliament in 2021, it was difficult to get support from other opposition parties, from the Greens and the Social Democrats. They were asking me openly, what has trade to do with human rights? So compared to our European colleagues, what makes the Finnish context is very different is that our understanding in the Finnish society of the Palestinian cause is very vague, and even though the solidarity has grown among the younger generation, the pro-Israeli and the Zionist agenda is actively used, especially in the political context in the parliament. But the Finnish Left Alliance is strongly committed in making the Justice for Palestine campaign a great success, which aims at full suspension of the EU-Israeli agreement. We want full sanctions on Israeli and Israeli companies. We want criminals to be responsible and to be punished. But dear friends, the left around Europe has a long history of how important awareness raising is in part of the political struggle. Therefore, I hope that the horrible history of oppression, apartheid and colonization will be a best part of the campaign of the citizen initiative. And in the end, I want to send greetings to the Palestinian godfather, Kamal, or my brother, who stands every week in front of the Finnish parliament for the Palestinian cause. And I'm here for you also, Kamal. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm going to use Spanish during my intervention, so if you need, you would do good in taking your headphones. Decía que voy a utilizar castellano y que si necesitáis los cascos es el momento de ponerlos. 2026 ha arrancado de una manera terrible. Desde la izquierda soberanista vasca veníamos años avisando de que el autoritarismo es una amenaza real no solo para los pueblos, sino también para la democracia. Una afirmación que, lejos de ser puntual, es consustancial al sistema en el que vivimos, a este momento económico y social. El imperialismo, las guerras, el expolio de los recursos naturales, a lo largo y ancho del planeta, responden a un ajedrez en el que las grandes potencias han decidido jugar contra los pueblos del mundo. Y mientras tanto, la Unión Europea y las élites que operan en este entorno han decidido desistir, han decidido no tener un proyecto propio, y de nada sirve estar hablando de la Unión Europea constantemente cuando ésta es incapaz de mostrarse a la altura del momento histórico y permite que la ola autoritaria avance en todo el mundo. Poco podemos esperar de aquellos y aquellas que son incapaces de denunciar, de plantar cara y aislar de manera efectiva a Israel para que acabe el genocidio en Palestina. Pero estamos convencidos y convencidas de que, siendo conscientes de nuestro tamaño, de nuestras capacidades y posibilidades, nosotras y nosotros también podemos hacer cosas para frenar la ola autoritaria y para demostrar que efectivamente Palestina no está sola, nunca lo ha estado y nunca lo va a estar. Y por eso creemos que es importante defender que existe otro proyecto europeo posible y trabajar a favor de él. Desde el pueblo de Guernica, desde el pueblo que fue bombardeado en 1937, las vascas y los vascos lo tenemos claro. Estamos muy orgullosas de que la primera parada del equipo de fútbol nacional de Palestina en toda Europa fuese en nuestro país. Y estamos muy orgullosas de que, siendo un pueblo que adora el ciclismo, decidiésemos que no hay competición que valga para limpiar el genocidio del pueblo palestino. Y por eso evitamos que el equipo Israel Tech pudiese finalizar una de sus etapas en la ciudad de Bilbao. Pero también estamos orgullosos y orgullosas de que, como en tantos y tantos lugares en Europa, en nuestras calles la movilización a favor de Palestina sea permanente. No hace mucho, la iniciativa ciudadana Guernica-Palestina nos invitaba a tomar un compromiso con Palestina. Y decía que todas las partes, todos los sectores de la sociedad pueden hacer algo en contra del genocidio y a favor del pueblo palestino. Y así ha sido. Las instituciones vascas, empezando desde la universidad pública hasta los equipos de fútbol de primera división, han tomado compromisos a favor de Palestina y en contra del genocidio. Y querría aprovechar esos compromisos para recordar otro compromiso, y es el de los militantes políticos que en el Reino Unido están encarcelados desde hace más de año y medio sin juicio y están en huelga de hambre, exigiendo sus derechos y a favor del pueblo palestino. No queremos abandonar a nadie y no olvidamos que todas las miradas tienen que estar en Palestina, pero es importante demostrar que en Europa también se pueden hacer cosas. Y eso es lo que creemos. Creemos que esta iniciativa ciudadana europea representa hoy una oportunidad para que los ciudadanos y ciudadanas, para que cada uno desde su casa, desde su lugar de trabajo, haga algo a favor de Palestina. Una oportunidad para que nos mostremos a favor de Palestina y para que mostremos ese compromiso ante aquellos y aquellas que quieren que nos resignemos, que pensemos que no se puede hacer nada, que el mundo sin reglas al que nos quiere condenar Donald Trump es la única posibilidad. Nosotros queremos otro mundo. Queremos que cada firma a favor de esta iniciativa ciudadana europea sea un pequeño fuego de solidaridad. Queremos, como decía el poeta uruguayo Eduardo Galeano, conformar un mar de fueguitos que sirva de guía y esperanza a la población de Gaza. Lo hemos dicho hoy, una población que está condenada a vivir en tiendas de campaña en el más frío invierno. Y por eso queremos que ese mar de fueguitos muestre en Europa a las instituciones que no se puede mantener esta posición, que se tiene que dejar de ser cómplice del genocidio del pueblo palestino y que hay que seguir trabajando a favor de una alternativa a la guerra y a la desesperanza, porque el autoritarismo nos invade a todas en todos los ámbitos. Otra Europa es posible y pasa por la soberanía y el respeto a los derechos de los pueblos y por articular fuerzas a favor de Palestina, demostrando que esa otra Europa es posible y que hay esperanza para la construcción de un mundo mejor, donde no impere la ley del más fuerte, donde Donald Trump no pueda amenazar a los pueblos del mundo. Por eso os animamos a todos y a todas a firmar, a compartir y a hacer vuestra esta iniciativa, esta campaña y esta posibilidad de que todos y todas, allá donde estemos, aportemos a favor del pueblo palestino y su lucha. Eskerrik asko.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much for your intervention. We will now start with the press session. I know we will have also Francesca Albanese joining online. She's a bit late. So we'll take now a few questions, and then we will have the participation online from Francesca Albanese, and then we will continue with the press. So we'll take now just 1-2 questions from the press. We'll ask journalists, if possible, only journalists, to raise their hand to state the media outlet, and the speaker, the ELA representative, they're asking the question to. And we will pass on like a microphone for the question. And I will ask the support from my colleague. You can please start raising your hand as well. I see someone from the back.
Thank you, Eddie Wax from Euractiv. Just about the Citizens Initiative, I think that calls on the Commission to take action. But if I'm not mistaken, the measures that were proposed by the Commission already are now in the court. Are now in the the ball is in the court of the Council. So why do you think that calling for the Commission to do more is going to advance the measures that you're calling for? Wouldn't it be better to put pressure on the Council? And what practical impact do you really think this initiative will have? Thanks.
Mariana, will you repeat your question?
Yes, thanks for the question. I guess there are two sets of answer. The first one is, as you may know, a European Citizen Initiative actually can only target the Commission. And actually, in EU law, It's the Commission that has the initiative, and the only initiative, and is the only one that can take initiative. And the second piece of answer, which actually politically is the most important, one might remember after the start of the war from Russia to Ukraine, it just took several days for the Commission and the Council to take action. And I've heard way too many times the Commission sending the ball to the Council sending the ball to the Commission. What about what citizens want? What about what the parliaments want? What about what Ursula von der Leyen herself said last September to save herself from a potential censure against the parliament? The Commission, barely committed to a partial suspension, but they knew they would do nothing. And if the Commission does nothing, then there will be no action. So it starts from the Commission. And for sure, and that's the last piece of answer, if we get 1 million signatures in a short time, if we get even more than 1 million signatures in a short time, it will also be harder for the Council to dismiss this call, because this call is not only coming from Brussels, it's not only coming from the European Parliament, it's coming from citizens all across Europe, as we've seen in the number of demonstrations that took place in the streets of Europe. Those demonstrations will keep happening, but now those demonstrations have a way out, signing this initiative and forcing the Commission and the Council, so Member States, to act.
Thank you. We now take another 1-2 questions probably before Albanese will be speaking. I will please ask you the journalists to raise their hands. Okay, we see one on the back.
Je ne suis pas journaliste, mais je suis venue à participer parce que merci beaucoup. Merci d'avoir pris cette initiative. Il me semble très, très important qu'en tant que citoyen, on puisse appuyer tout ce qu'on peut faire pour que ce génocide s'arrête. Je suis née en 1948. Je suis arrivée à Bruxelles en 1970. J'ai découvert un pays extraordinaire parce que je pouvais aller manifester. Parce que je venais d'Espagne, et là, on ne pouvait pas manifester à ce moment-là. Et ici, je me suis tout de suite approchée de la Maison de la Paix, rue Van Elewijk, pour ceux qui connaissent Bruxelles. Et j'ai déjà été à côté des personnes qui s'opposaient au service militaire. On en faisait déjà des actions pour soutenir la Palestine. On dénonçait déjà qu'Israël ne respectait pas les frontières. Et on était déjà très en colère parce qu'aucun pays, aucun politicien tenait compte de nos actions. Je me retrouve, bien des années après, à continuer à lutter. Mais je pense, comme le premier intervenant en ligne palestinien a dit, que notre combat va au-delà des génocides. Et je pense que cette initiative de récolter des signatures va avoir beaucoup de succès. Je suis convaincue qu'on va pouvoir récolter même plus qu'1 million. Je pense et je demande si...
Thank you very much for
oui, je vais finir tout de suite, parce que l'autre proposition que j'ai, c'est que si cette alliance de gauche peut lancer à niveau européen je l'ai noté parce que je sais que je perds mes moyens en parlant, une enquête, lancer une enquête à niveau européen. Qui est pour la paix? Qui est pour la guerre? Je suis convaincue que que la plupart des citoyens, personne ne veut la guerre. Malheureusement, on est invisible. Et je pense que faire un sondage...
Thanks a lot for your comment. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we also want to give the opportunity to other journalists to ask questions, but we really appreciate your comment.
Je finis avec ça. Je me sens censurée.
Non, désolé, on peut pas suivre
No,
les journalistes.
We see there's another question, if possible. We limit the question only to journalists, so we please ask question only from journalists.
Yeah. Good afternoon. I am Ahmed Frasini, journalist, freelancer journalist. I have a question here. So, unfortunately, we see ourselves that we are organizing such initiative. It means that we didn't have, for example, more power to change the situation and to make the sanctions real on Israel by legal steps in the parliament or the commission. So do you think practically, do you think that this initiative has more power and it will be, or it could be more useful, for example, to ask the commission, the council, the parliament, and to go to put in in success like the sanctions and to stop the working with the European Israeli Council? Thanks.
Thank you. We will let our co-chair reply.
Thank you. It is very clear that the current measures are not enough. We are asking by the suspension of the whole EU-Israel trade agreement, association agreement, that goes further. So in that sense, it will ask more from the European institutions, and that is the whole point as well. We have also seen that now people are stopping to talk about Palestine and justice for Palestine with the so-called ceasefire agreement, which is, as has been said here, more part of an occupation plan. So this is an extremely important moment to say that nothing has been done, nothing that is sufficient, even close to it. We stopped the occupation, we stopped the genocide, and to do that we have to stop the trade with criminals. So I think this initiative, as has been said by Manon Aubry and by all my colleagues here, it will be extremely important to put up the pressure, not one level, but several levels. And we know that we have citizens around the European Union that want to work with us.
Thank you. We will now take still some more questions. I see a question from the back. I will please ask also to again say name, media outlet, and also which speaker you're addressing the question to. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Vincenzo Genovese from Euronews. Thank you very much. My question is, the Commission already proposed the suspension, the partial suspension of the EU-Israel Association Agreement, which is, of course, less than the new request today. But this has not moved on basically due to the member states. So why this should change in the future, even if there is an in ICE with 1 million signatures, and even if the Commission arrives to propose the total suspension, given that not even the partial suspension has been agreed by the member states. And the second question, if I may, I know that is not the topic of today, but what's your position on what's happening in Iran? Thank you very much.
I will answer to the first question. I think, and I will also then direct if you other of the speakers want to intervene. What this makes the European Left Alliance and our networks so precious also in this moment is because we are working at national level already. We're working with our parliamentarians, with our parliaments, our governments, as been displayed here. And we will, with this campaign, put the pressure even more at national level and at the same time at EU level. And that's what European democracy is about, being able to mobilize in the countries and at EU level. And this is what is needed now. So we hope to bring these together. And we will do it, of course, by working with our political parties, but also by being part of the movement. And our parties are part of the movement. We are out there, we are doing the job, and we will get these million signatures. And I invite, if everyone else wants to answer to that question, what will make the difference? Because it has stagnated. It is, the EU Commission initiative is floating up here, but nothing is actually being done. So with this, we will bring these two levels together, and we will will make action happen. That's the promise we are trying to make.
I'll just quickly answer to also your, on the more trade side. I happen to sit in the trade committee and to be the first vice chair of the trade committee, in which supposedly the trade agreement with Israel is supposed to be discussed, and there hasn't been any follow-up. There's barely been, as far as I remember, 1 or 2 debates in the trade committee, and once again, there is no willingness from the Commission to take and move this forward. Although, and I'm not sure we've mentioned it, Article 2 of this trade agreement is very clear. Article 2 of the trade agreement between EU and Israel actually ties the agreement with the respect of human rights. Who can argue that human rights are currently respected in Palestine? Who can argue that this Article 2 cannot be triggered as, at the same time, the ICC has launched a warrant against Netanyahu? Who can think that Article 2 cannot be triggered when the Commission itself issued a report in which it actually concluded that human rights have been violated? So this initiative is about also putting words to action. It's far too easy for EU leaders, including the European Commission, including Kaja Kallas, the High Representative for Foreign Affairs. It's far too easy for them to say words but do nothing when it comes to the parliamentary work, and I'm well positioned to say it. Second point on Iran, I don't want to speak on all of her behalf, but I'm pretty sure everyone would agree on that of course we're on the side of what is a revolution. What is a revolution for women and for the Iranese population to actually fight against the theocratic regime of the mullah in Iran. And as much as Iranian people want to be free, Palestinians want to be free, people in Sudan want to be free, people in Congo want to be free, and that's exactly what we're standing. And if we are not able, as the EU, to uphold justice in all corners of the world, is the very credibility of the EU that is at stake. So you can be sure that you are going to find us on the side of Iranian people fighting for their freedom.
Thank you very much. We will now reply to the last question before Albanese, Francesca Albanese will join. I see there's a hand raised there. Again, we will please ask, it's here to the, okay. We would prefer journalists if possible first. Is there any journalist? Okay, if there's no journalist, then yes, please.
So, thank you very much. I'm a student here in Brussels at ULB, and I've seen how difficult it is to get, for example, an academic boycott in terms of pressure. The question I have for this, because this is a suspension of the EU-Israel Free Trade Agreement, which it does include academic provisions, for example, but in the meantime, first of all, the collection of signatures, and then the time that the Commission takes to respond, and the time that the Commission will take to invent a reason they cannot do anything about in any way. Is this initiative also organized in coordination with legal attacks against governments, against companies, against people, for example, who personally do have business trades, who personally are involved in shipment of weapons, in sharing of intelligence and education and programs of military devices, thanks to, for example, like the EU's duty of vigilance on what it's used? So basically, are you coordinating this initiative with other very precise and targeted attacks that might at least freeze some things in the meantime before the suspension is reached?
I'll invite our co-chair to pose this question.
We are launching this initiative today. We will be collecting 1 million signatures, and while doing that, or hopefully more, while doing that, we will be working with all parts of social movements that take different actions for a free Palestine and to end the genocide. So the answer is both yes and no. we have no particular plan in that sense, but we will be working with everyone that take different pieces of actions in order to stop the genocide. And that's a commitment from all our partners around Europe.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. We will now have the contribution from Dr. Francesca Albanese. So I will invite the technician to please let the intervention start. Thank you. Hi, Francesca. Thank you very much for being here. We will now start with your intervention. We just finished the first session of the press inquiries, so we leave the floor to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for this great initiative, both to the organizers and to the fellow speakers, and last but not least, to everyone who's attending and planning to extend support to this. I want to bet that it won't take long. It won't take long to have 1 million signatures for this initiative, because if I think of the millions of Europeans who have taken the streets, risking their jobs, challenging the powers, if I only think of the people, young and less young, who have confronted police brutality, political oppression, smears and slanders from the pro-genocide lobby, which is unfortunately so rooted in our continent, I don't think 1 million signatures will be an impossible record to achieve. May this just be yet another action in the pursuit for justice for the Palestinians. I've said it before, and I insist. Justice for Palestine is also justice for us, because Palestine, with its sacrifice, is giving us the opportunity to clear our record as European, not just past, but also present. And I wanted to start with one reflection, which is really based on the work that I've been carrying out in the past 2 years. I've produced 4 reports focusing on genocide as a special rapporteur on the occupied Palestinian territory, and all of them should have sent shock waves in the halls of powers, of European countries first and foremost, of European institutions who praise themselves to be born to maintain peace and stability at the regional level in support to the multilateral work done by the United Nations. Not only this is not true, but this very august institution that is the European Union has betrayed its very function, because by standing in solidarity with Israel, by continuing to trade, to be the first trading partner of Israel, and using commercial conduits to carry out anything, including military support, by continuing to shelter Israel politically, discursively from accountability, this European Union has helped erode one of its main pillars, the premise that peace be built upon the respect of human dignity, humanity, and human rights. By doing that, the European Union, European countries have brought this shame upon us, individual European citizens, all of us, all of the 450 million of this union bear the brunt of what is done in the name of an institution that today more than ever appears like a bridge to its colonial past into a not very different than a colonial future. And we don't want this. So this is an appeal to every citizen of the Union who wants a different Europe, who doesn't curtail the fundamental freedom of assembly, freedom of association, the right to protest, freedom of expression of its citizens, its media, its education institutions, in the name of protecting a state which is accused of international crimes, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. Therefore, I can only say that this initiative is yet another brick on the way toward a more just Europe. I know that this is a moment of darkness and it's difficult to remain hopeful, but we must stay hopeful because the signs of positive change are there. The brutality of power is not new. Power and the elites in power have more frequently than not been inhumane and brutal. This is the lesson of history. We, the people, have the power to fix this. Yet, in the time of a genocide, this is absolutely compulsory. So let's not lose hope. Let's not lose focus. Let's not lose commitment to justice. Let's put our ego and individual agendas aside, and let's find a way to help Palestine liberate itself. And also, I do believe that this will be liberating for all the Israelis who have willingly or not been part of an anachronistic colonial apartheid regime, and for other countries, including our own in Europe, who have been vassals to this project, willingly or not. So I wish you well, and I wish all of us well in this current important endeavor.
Thank you very much. We would like, on behalf of the European Left Alliance, we would like to thank you as the UN Special Rapporteur for the occupied Palestinian territories for being here and for being such an important voice in solidarity for Palestine. So again, thank you. I will now leave the floor again to the press. Maybe, yeah, answer the floor. As we saw, there were not a lot of questions from the press before. If there are not any more questions right now, we will move towards the conclusion. We see there's like one question from the back.
Thank you very much. This is Pietro Guastamacchia from ANSA. I just would like to go back on an technicalities of my colleagues before. I don't know, is Nicola still around?
Yes, it's still here.
Okay. Sorry, I couldn't see. What my colleague asked before is somehow relevant to the mechanism of the ICE itself, because it's the member state that in fact refused to suspend the agreement, the EU-Israel agreement. So my question is, it could be to Nicola or to Manon, like, do you think that if you gain 1 million signatures, this will leverage on Meloni, on Macron, in order to greenlight the suspension, or you fear that their position will remain the same? And in this case, what else can you do?
I will leave the floor first to Nicola Satriani.
E intanto possiamo ottenere molto più di 1 milione di firme, anche molti milioni di firme, e sarebbe un fatto importante, no? E io penso che se milioni di firme non fanno cambiare il parere a Macron, a Meloni o a chi per loro, continueremo a batterci. perché noi vogliamo la sospensione dell'accordo di associazione, ma la Commissione potrebbe mettere dazi al 100% sui commerci con Israele, lo potrebbe fare senza passare per il Consiglio d'Europa. Ci sono materie su cui potrebbe intervenire su un accordo come Horizon, lo hanno fatto con la Russia, lo potrebbero fare con Israele domani mattina. Allora io penso, non so se le altre sono d'accordo, che ogni mobilitazione che coinvolge la società civile, che costruisce pressione e consenso, è uno strumento utile. E se non basterà rispetto a questo obiettivo continueremo. E comunque, lo ripeto, 1 milione? Forse di più. Perché non 2 milioni o 3 milioni? È possibile raggiungere un obiettivo anche più ambizioso. Partiamo da qui, ma non ci fermiamo.
Thank you very much, Nicola. So we now move towards the conclusion of the event, and I will give now the floor to Malin Björk, co-chair of the European Left Alliance.
Thank you, everyone. As you have heard, almost Nicola's comments could be the finish. This is one way of acting. Our parties, our partners in the European Left Alliance, will be acting on different ways. But this will be a main campaign tool, a main tool for us to create conditions for justice for Palestine. Because there can be no peace without justice. And to continue to trade with criminals is paving the way for continued occupation, for continued oppression, and for continued genocide. So this just has to stop. And we will do what it takes to collect the signature and to mount the pressure. Not, like I said, not one step, but several steps. We will do it at EU level, we will do it in our national context, and we will work with civil society and movement and activists to do that together. And I also want to say that after we close this event, please, if you're a journalist still in the room, you can speak individually for interviews with the ELA partners, and you can also reach out afterwards, of course, for interviews. This is a campaign that we are launching now. We will go ahead. We already, I heard, have 6,000 or 7,000 signatures, so please go out there, get the signatures. We will fix this. There should be freedom for Palestine. So free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!